It's me, Eloise, and today I'm joined by author Celi and author Ben Pick to discuss how we can. So you guys are going to see how many times I have to edit, how much I have to edit my videos.
At least you're not swearing.
Yet. It's going to be on my channel, we can swear. I'm not trying to get monetized. Oh, God. Okay. Today we're going to be discussing how we can ensure spin-off success of our own series and works by examining a very popular franchise, Star Wars. But first, I want to have my guests introduce themselves, so go ahead. Jamie.
Hey everybody, I'm Celi, and I am the author of the Unlife of Lisa Cooper series and its prequel, The Vampires of 1863. I actually have a sequel coming out to The Unlife of Lisa Cooper this fall. So, I've been through the exercise of writing sequels, and I can appreciate those kind of milestones that you have to hit.
Awesome. Yes. Very qualified. And Ben, I know you have sequels as well, so introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi, I am Ben Pick, and I have my own series behind me. It's called Into the Void. It's an urban fantasy series involving some teenagers who gain abilities, make a lot of mistakes, accidentally get lost in time, and create a monster. Maybe not in that order.
Awesome. That sounds exciting. And I guess I did not introduce myself as a historical fantasy author who is currently working on a 6-book series about the origins of the Amazons in Greek mythology. So I am very interested in making sure my sequels and or subsequent spin-offs are successful. So I invited Jamie and Ben on for this video, or for this talk, because we all enjoy Star Wars, or all have strong feelings about Star Wars, and it is a franchise that has a lot of spin-offs. And I thought it would be very interesting to examine the shows and movies that came after the first 6 films that George Lucas was in charge of, to see which ones, looking at the ones that are successful, what made them successful, and the ones that were a flop and why that might have happened. So I'm thinking we can see first, what's our favorite spinoff? Do you have a favorite? Do you have a top 2? Let's do favorite and maybe least favorite, and why.
That's tough. Are you talking strictly Disney Star Wars? So it would be like,
well,
sequels,
so
right?
2019 and beyond, right. I guess.
Well, so I guess you can. I was thinking more of the 20 or after episodes, all the first 6 episodes come out, though technically, obviously, episodes 1 through 3 are prequel spin-offs, so it can be included as well. But not the books, because there's just so many. There's so many.
That's
so we're going to stick to film and TV world, and the video games as well. But do either of you want to go first?
Sure. I can say that I guess it's like the first season, maybe the second season, Mandalorian, and probably Rogue One was fun. Kind of the rest of it is a wash for me. And it's great that you put that caveat there for books, because I just finished what's it called? The Shadow Force Rising. Dark Force Rising. There we go. Which is the second book of a trilogy, which is basically what 7, 8, 9 should have been. So it's, 5 years later, which obviously they would need to adapt because it's 30 years, but it's 5 years later, what happens to the New Republic and the enemies they face. And it is so fantastically written. It is such good character development that even while reading it, I'm just feeling something. And Eloise, you sent out a list of everything that's come out since 2015 for Star Wars in terms of movies and TV. And most of these are passable at best, if not outright, I'm just going to say it out there, insulting at worst. So yeah, that's my 2 cents, because they have they had a blueprint. there are so many books out there that they could have followed or adapted in some way, and they did none of it.
Right. It's like the Marvel Universe literally having the source material to just essentially recreate or expand upon it. And instead, they're just going to do something weird. But Marvel will be a different rant for another day. Jamie, what's your favorite?
That's a hard one because, if we're talking sequels, then I would agree Rogue One was great, but I wouldn't count it as a sequel.
Right.
Well, it's a spinoff.
It's a spinoff.
If it's a spinoff, then Rogue One's my favorite. That's
right.
Mandalorian seasons 1 and 2 are definitely strong second for me, but Rogue One is just so good.
Because there's character development.
Right.
Character development and a story. Oh my God.
Yep.
Yeah.
Honestly, I completely agree. Rogue One as far as movies, and then as far as shows, Mandalorian, specifically season 1 and 2, season 3 can go in the trash can as far as I'm concerned.
And then you mentioned least favorite too.
Least favorite, yes.
That's a long
That's
list.
where the real rant's gonna start, isn't it? Have either of you, just sidebar, for anyone who's watching who hasn't watched any or all of these or isn't a big Star Wars fan, there's probably going to be spoilers. If you don't want spoilers for certain things, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Don't watch this. I'm not going to be able to go and be like, skip these time things because in this section, we're just going to rant about stuff. Because
for my least favorite, I think I could probably rant about a lot of different things that have spun off from the original George Lucas foundation, not foundation, but, base.
Yeah.
But the top of that heap is episode 8. I struggle to find redeeming content. There's like a couple of scenes where I'm like, that was cool. I like that. Cool. And then they completely undo the coolness, like right afterwards. Yeah. Like, awesome, Finn's gonna sacrifice himself. Nope. Awesome. Okay. Luke Skywalker is gonna take on all these AT-ATs. Nope. Just like Rian Johnson just undermined himself through the entire movie, and it was just a pile of suck.
So yes, I will say there are two cool things about that the movie does retain. Like, first of all, its theme is that anybody can be a hero, a Jedi, whatever, which is pretty cool on its surface. And then second of all, the entire concept of them being trapped in basically a slow speed pursuit is intriguing. It's different on its surface. If that's all it was, fine. Like, if it's them trying to outrun the First Order and they can't go to hyperspace because then they'll just burn through more fuel and they need to find the safe way. So there is inherent tension in that. It's just the execution was terrible. The plot was terrible. The character interactions, the motivations, the throwing away of legacy, quote unquote subversions that they applied. It was all just a mess.
Yeah.
Well, I was listening to some videos talking about why episodes 7 through 9 were just such a hot mess, and one of them, I don't know, that because researching this, I went and looked for all of them on Rotten Tomatoes. There's 2 different ratings. There's a critic rating and just like a general audience rating. And some of the Last Jedi had a 41% popcorn rating, whereas the prior two, Force Awakens, where's Rise of Skywalker? Force Awakens and Rise of Skywalker both had over 80% popcorn rating. So I think general audience just didn't have a problem with it. But as the Star Wars fans, so the general audience might not know this, but the directors kept switching between J.J. Abrams, the other guy, and then back to J.J. Abrams. And they both had different visions for this trilogy. So I feel like these 3 movies bring us to our first rule or lesson that we're learning is go in with a plan.
Yeah.
Because they clearly did not have a plan of the 3 movies. J.J. Abrams, I think, specifically said, like, I made the first one and I was going to wait to start on the second one to see how the first one was received. And then the plot holes abound, among other problems.
Yeah. So J.J. Abrams has a tendency to create, his intentional thing is to create mystery boxes, which is an interesting concept, but that's his one trick. Like, he doesn't think things through. He doesn't really focus on any of the meat and potatoes of storytelling. It's just, hey, here's a cool idea. Somebody else can figure it out, what it is. That's why, like, Lost, I loved it until it actually started having to answer some of those questions. And then I was like, wow, this is just a giant waste of time. And also I put in the private chat, it's a 2.5 hour long breakdown of everything of why The Last Jedi is objectively terrible.
Nice.
So if you both have some free time, feel free to watch it. But it is fun.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I like
I'll try not to say everything verbatim from it, but I can give the clip notes.
We've got time. And I'll share that link in the comments below as well of the video. For me, I think, honestly, I feel like I've taken episodes 8 and 9 and just kind of like forgotten. I've purposefully, for my own mental health, just
read the Timothy Zahn series, pretend like nothing happened in the movies.
But there's so many violations in all of these shows as well. I think the one that I felt most betrayed by was the Book of Boba Fett, because Boba Fett was such a big character. He only had 2 lines, but became this like fan favorite. And then so one of the things that I also learned in my research for today was that the Han Solo movie, which when I was also doing research of like the worst spinoffs, it was so bad it wasn't even included on the spinoffs on a lot of these people's lists. It did so poorly. All of the other movies grossed at least $1 billion in the box office, and Solo did $392 million. That's how bad it did. Just
wow.
It's not the lowest rated on Rotten Tomatoes and things like that, but as far as like, especially the budget to income kind of thing, it did terribly. And so apparently, because that bombed, they had an Obi-Wan movie and a Boba Fett movie that got shelved and then turned into, oh, we're just gonna do this to Disney Plus. And once I learned that made more sense about the shows themselves, because it's like, where is the plot? This is like maybe a movie's worth of plot and you're stretching it out.
I wouldn't even go that far.
Yeah, right, I know. There's a mini series worth of plot here that you're stretching out. Yeah. You could have like a series of like origin stories or where are they now, and then have the 3 episodes. Anyway, but Boba Fett upset me so much because they did him and his character so dirty by just taking him from this ruthless bounty hunter, and they could have done so much amazing stuff if they went more of like a Godfather kind of direction of he is the boss, he's ruthless, he has a code that he sticks to, like he's not going to kill children or whatever. Maybe he does. I wouldn't put it past him. But no, he like becomes this like good guy because he went on a trip in the desert with the sand people or something, and I was just like, why? So I think that's maybe the second lesson is your legacy characters, if you're going to change them, have their changes make sense. And then you can see the same problem in episodes 7, 8, and 9 with what they did to Luke and what they did to Han Solo. Like, would you guys agree? Do you have more anger to join me?
Boba Fett was a failure as far as I'm concerned. I mean, it was one of those things where you could say that part was cool, but overall, if they're like, okay, he's not a bounty hunter anymore. He's going to be a crime boss. Okay, he's going to do crime.
And if they make him into Jabba, that would have been an interesting journey.
Yeah,
but he
didn't become a crime boss. He didn't do any crime. He just walked around town going, "I'm the guy." Okay, here's a helmet full of credits. Why? I don't know. And then he just made the stupidest decisions. Right. And people, he'd say, "Let's do this one thing," and then someone else would say, "Nah, let's do this other thing," and he'd be like, "Yeah." Okay, I don't know. And then they took 3 episodes of his series and dedicated them to the Mandalorian.
And those were the best 3 episodes.
Those were really good episodes, but those 3 episodes undid everything in seasons 1 and 2 of the Mandalorian. So Boba Fett was just it assassinated the Mandalorian series and killed Boba Fett as a character.
Mm-hmm.
It was just, I'm like, what are you doing? Didn't you? I don't know.
And I think that's the reason why season 3 for The Mandalorian did so poorly compared to seasons 1 and 2, because you're not only are those 2 episodes undoing things, you are like more or less forced to watch the Book of Boba Fett to really understand, like, wait, I thought Grogu wasn't with him anymore. Why are they back together? But then you leave Book of Boba Fett with that bad taste in your mouth. And I don't.
They're trying to marvel the solution where instead of having just a teaser at the end of the movie to connect you to the next thing, they're trying to just punch you in the face with, hey, by the way, Ahsoka's coming. By the way, here's Mandalorian season 3 teaser, and remember that's still a thing. And it's just
and this is going back, we're talking about sequels, right? And we're talking about spinoffs. And I was disappointed in the way Luke Skywalker was handled in those Boba Fett episodes where he's with Grogu and he's like, well, you have to choose this or that. And I almost wanted to be like, why don't you let go of this stupid Jedi dogma that got your entire order wiped out and train this little kid?
And
you're the only guy in the galaxy that can train Grogu. You're just going to be like, well, too bad. You have a friend. Sucks for you.
The whole reason that Luke tore down the Empire is because he believed in love and not some emotionless husk.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Which
Who taught him this anyway? Like, he just learned from Yoda that one time, and he doesn't have any like point that he questions things or has his opportunity to change. Exactly what you guys said, and then he changes even more in the episodes which shall not be named, with just being like, oh, I'm gonna just stretch, never mind the fact that I didn't kill my warlord father, but I'm gonna kill this kid who like kind of freaks me out a little bit. I
almost wanted to see the conversation between Luke and Ahsoka afterwards. Like, Ahsoka swings by and she's like, hey, how's Grogu doing? Oh, I kicked him out. Why? Well, so that guy, he made him a chainmail shirt and it got really complicated and he's out of here. Like, he's just a kid. Well,
right.
What are you going to do? You can't have attachments, so he failed.
Mm-hmm. I don't care about him.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Let's see. What are some other ones? And then the Obi-Wan series, that was disappointing because it had, so I guess third lesson, actually have a plot. Maybe don't just rely on having the characters that your fans know and love just kind of do nothing and have it actually be a plot. Did you guys ever see the Obi-Wan show?
I did. I agree. I felt like if they had a cohesive plot, they could have really taken all the elements they had, and it would have been, because I didn't hate the Obi-Wan plot, but I mean the series, but I agree with you. There was no firm plot. It was like, go rescue Princess Leia, and she's little.
Twice.
Twice. And then also there's Darth Vader. So there could have been a way that you could have written that in a way that you got all those bits, most of them.
Right.
I liked how, and this is the spoiler piece, right? Vader was like, I'm not your failure, Obi-Wan. I killed Anakin Skywalker. And that little nugget really tied well to, Obi-Wan explaining it to Luke, the certain point of view kind of thing. It kind of lets Obi-Wan off the hook a little bit because of that perception. And I love those fights. Anakin and, I mean, I'm sorry, but you had,
anything with Darth Vader fighting.
And Ewan McGregor back together again. And I admit, I wasn't a fan of Hayden Christensen during the prequel era. But for some reason, when he came back, I was like, all right, props to this dude, because I don't know, he put in the effort, and I was not unimpressed.
He was the one redeeming factor for me for the Ahsoka show. That scene, as cringy as that might have been for some people, the scene where, and again, the spoilers for Ahsoka, the scene where she's in the
Dream World.
The
the
world
in
between,
the world
which I
between
hate.
worlds.
I
And
hate the world between worlds more. That's like some Doctor Who, Star Trek level BS.
It's just space
As someone with a
purgatory.
world between worlds in my own series, yes, that does not belong in Star Wars.
Yeah, that feels like another. It's very cool science fiction stuff that does not feel Star Wars at all to me, and it feels like this Deus ex machina machine that Dave Filoni can just kind of throw into the void. No, sorry, not Ben.
I get
a different void, and say, "Here's how I'm going to fix my stupid decisions." Like, crap! I just put Ahsoka and Darth Vader in a room together. How am I going to write myself out of this? Oh, the magical box of blah, where you can just throw people into hyperspace and they just come out. You know, I loved that scene where you saw the teenage Ahsoka and it was like live action clone troopers and all that stuff. But I hate the world between worlds. Sorry, that was my. That's a trigger for me.
I mean, there was so much that Dave Filoni just throws into things that just don't feel like time travel does not feel Star Wars.
No.
Which I don't know if that was on the list that you included, but that was in Rebels or Clone Wars. I can't remember.
It was in Rebels, I think, kind of, right? Because they pulled Ezra pulled Ahsoka out.
Oh, with the space whales?
Yeah.
The space whales.
That happened before the space whales.
You know, the ripoff of Treasure Planet, I was rewatching the stuff in the little orb that you have to like tinker with, and Sabine can figure it out. Don't get me started on Sabine. She was okay in Rebels, and then she's just the new Mary Sue for Ahsoka. She's like,
because she had a character arc in Rebels.
And so
I liked her in Rebels, but I totally agree with you in this incarnation. The actress did a great job. She's a great fit.
Right.
I felt, oh my God, this is Sabine. But oh my God, the whole idea that anyone can learn the Force, that flies in the face of established canon. So no, if we're talking about spin-offs and sequels, you've already laid down the rules of the road, right? In which, who was it? Kanan was like, you can't just. He's training her and saying, you don't have the Force. You can't do that. You have to learn how to fight Jedi with your armor.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And if in a world where everyone could have become a Jedi, if they just concentrated hard enough, then how would the Mandalorian versus Jedi war have gone if that was right? I mean, that was accepted canon. Not everyone can just become a Jedi or become Force sensitive.
Well, worse than that, the show itself, like you're stating that there's contradictions across shows, but there's contradictions within Ahsoka itself, where Sabine is documented as not strong with the Force, and yet by the end of it, she's throwing Ezra 20 feet using her mind when she couldn't even move like a cup. Or she was able to get to like jiggle a little bit on the table.
Right.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah.
So what are we at? Number 4 now of things. Don't retcon the stuff you write your series, or you have, and I know this happens in books themselves. There's a very popular fantasy book series with dragons in it that has been accused of retconning and answering things and changing things that would have completely answering questions that their readers had, because they didn't necessarily take the time to plot that out and have the answers to it. But the answers completely change. It's like, okay, if that's the case, then why didn't they do X, Y, or Z? Like Sabine gets stabbed in the stomach with a lightsaber. And survives.
That kills every other person across the series.
What happened to Qui-Gon Jinn? What? Or what was the
or Darth Maul, where he's literally cut in half by a lightsaber and survives. Which, he's an alien and he,
fighter guy.
Or that woman that I forget her name. She was an Inquisitor in the Obi-Wan series. She got stabbed twice, right? Wasn't it twice they stabbed her through the stomach?
Yeah.
No, it just doesn't make sense. There's so many things that these different shows, they're like, oh, we don't really care the fact. Like they take the canon and throw it out the window. It's So when you're a spinoff, to make it successful, do not take your canon and throw it out the window. It's going to piss off your fans.
Right.
Yeah.
I think, which segues into tip 5, keep your audience in mind. I think one of the big blunders that Disney is either intentionally or unintentionally doing is alienating most of their fan base. Star Wars has inherently, whether we like it or not, has inherently been had a predominantly larger male fan base. And it seems to me that they are strategically going about nerfing the male leads and replacing them with female leads because it's not inclusive enough, which I would argue like is bullshit. And pandering, and women are perfectly capable of having their own fantasies and their own shows without having to be like, oh, we're just gonna make a female version of Luke, but she's gonna be better because she's a girl. So
this is so frustrating because I can go to the Timothy Zahn series where Princess Leia is just stunningly brilliant, where she single-handedly turns the tide of the war, both because of who she is and that she's Vader's daughter, and in just her political prowess, where she turns an entire civilization to help the New Republic. And like through her genius, not her physical attributes, not her willing. I mean, yes, she does use the Force a little bit because she's, you know, training in it, but it's not really that. It's like who she is as a person and the skills that she has learned since she was a senator's child on Alderaan, where she uses those skills to the benefit of everyone and not something else that they throw on top.
Right. It feels so insincere and pandering, just like with Marvel stuff and all the other stuff. It's like, instead of making it, you know, taking this thing and ruining it because men like it, men are bad. You know that, obviously. I'm being sarcastic here. But, you know, it's like, it's not inherently bad if something not naturally, but historically has a more male audience. You guys aren't like, ooh, romance books. Too many female audiences, not enough men like romance books. So you all need to make romance books more interesting for men. The men who want to read romance books will read romance books. The women who want to watch sci-fi movies are going to watch sci-fi movies. And they're spending all of this time and effort trying to capture this audience that doesn't necessarily give a crap about that genre anyway.
I don't mind the idea that Disney wants to grow the audience and attract other demographics, and I think that's fine.
Mara Jade.
Yeah. What's that?
Mara Jade.
But I mean, to your point, don't take your base, your faithful, the people that have been recruiting other people over the years. Like how many Gen Xers, I'll just use an example because we were the first, we were the kids that saw it in the theaters the first time, right? Have recruited our kids, you know, and told, you know what I mean? Like we're a growing nucleus that exists. So, so don't betray us. We know what the canon is. We know what works in Star Wars. Keep that faithful and then grow it and add other stuff. When I saw Star Wars, really was Empire Strikes Back when it hit me, because I was a little bit older. I was 9 years old when Empire Strikes Back came out. And I remember thinking, it's really weird that there's no other women that we've seen. And I really like Princess Leia as a character. And I was like, where are the other women? Like, they're not even in the background walking around. It was weird. And so I get it. I wanted to see, and that was kind of the time too. It wasn't just a George Lucas thing. Back in the 70s, you got all your action heroes were men. And I like that they're fixing it. I really, really do. But if you don't have a story, it doesn't matter how diverse your cast is. If you don't have a story, then it's going to flop.
Yeah.
Right. Just gender bending something isn't going to work because a male character who suddenly has boobs isn't going to think the same way as a woman. It doesn't make sense. The priorities are going to be different. The thought process are going to be different.
Yeah.
And it's it's disappointing to see, even as a woman, it pisses me off, honestly, to see all of these pandering kind of shows of like, oh, She-Hulk, great, because and I know She-Hulk was like a character in the comic books anyway, but the okay, good example, Mandalore. Sorry, I almost said Mario. Mandalorian season 3 becomes more about Bo-Katan and her nonsense. I love Bo-Katan, but it's like, this is Mandalorian. We're literally taking movies, and it has the name of the male lead in it, and we're just focusing more on the female character.
That felt like someone wrote themselves into a corner and realized, oh wait, we can't give Grogu to Luke because Grogu's essential for the Mandalorian series. And now that we have the Mandalorian, what's he going to do now? And now we've introduced Bo-Katan, and why would she take a backseat to him when we have her in the? It's almost like they wrote themselves into a corner, and then they pivoted towards Bo-Katan, which would be great if the show was called Bo-Katan Gets the Darksaber Back or something. But it's not called that. It's called The Mandalorian. So I didn't hate season 3, but I was kind of like, what's this show now? What's it about?
It's also a preview for their planned Mandalorian movie. Like, that's all it really was just trying to roll it right into more money.
Yeah, but does anybody actually want to watch the movie now? Because then is the movie going to be about Mandalorian, or is it going to be about Bo-Katan? Because, I like Bo-Katan as much as the next Star Wars fan, but, I mean, I fell in love with Mando, the lone wolf and the cub trope, and that whole thing, and I don't know, it's really annoying. So I guess, know your audience, respect your audience, especially if you have an established audience and are making something. Don't just say, I'm going to take your beloved character and just make them awful.
I guess that's
throw them out in airlock.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I guess that's another point too. Is
we were talking about this in the pre-show? Sorry.
Don't promise your audience one thing and then deliver another. That's not just beholden to sequels, but right? Like if you have The Mandalorian and say, here's a show about this guy, and then you tune in and you watch it, and it's really about this.
That's how I felt about Boba Fett too. Is they went and like there was half of the series, half the time it was Fennec, and then the other half was Mando freaking episodes.
Yeah, so keep, deliver what what you promised to deliver.
Yeah, and so maybe, I don't know, don't make promises until you know. And I know authors might get themselves into this to begin with. Is you start, and it's that catch-22 kind of thing of you need to start promoting your book before your book is done, but then you're still working on your book, and I do not write full-time. So the amount of time, why am I hyping up my readers when it's probably going to take me at least another year? And then they're just going to be like, okay, we're still, and Star Wars is doing that too. Kathleen Kennedy is notorious for being like, these are the projects we have in the works. And then next year it's like, hey, how about those projects? And they're like, actually, we fired that director and it's shelved permanently. Or they're like, yeah, we're still working on it. And then just years and years for it to actually even be made, if it's going to be made at all. So I guess that ties back into the have a plan kind of
have a plan
consideration.
And don't rush. That was one of the problems with Rise of Skywalker. That's the third one, right?
I don't remember.
Whatever.
Let me record it.
In that they had specific scenes that they had built and like set pieces that they had plot things that they had to go through, and they ran out of time, so they just kind of had to run with it, and that's how you end up with a magic dagger that just shows you exactly where on the Death Star the MacGuffin is, even though it's crash landed into the ocean And so it should be like being jostled around and being moving and whatever. Even if it is the size of a planet, then it should be, you know, torn down and
We're degrading with weather.
right. And and yet she's standing on the exact right cliff to get the exact right angle to know, you know.
The convenience. It's the hand of the author being seen, or the hand of the director,
Right.
I guess. In the opposite, also, my kid might open. The opposite, I think, is, I don't know if you guys have seen Andor. I just finished watching the second season, and that was the opposite of rushing too much. The first season came out in 2022, and the second season just released. So they, I think, really took their time with writing it. And that, I think, is one of the highest, let me see, just smallest. Tales of the Jedi is a mini series kind of thing that has the highest rating overall, between Rotten Tomatoes and the Popcorn Meter, followed closely by Mandalorian Season 1 for highest rating. But Andor, across both of them, is 96% for Rotten Tomatoes and 88% for the general audience. And I think one of the reasons why it's so successful is because it's doing all the things that we've been talking about. It has a good plot. It focuses on character development. It's not necessarily retconning anything. I think one of the things that the critics say about it, or the complaints that some people have about it, is that there is no Jedi, there is no lightsaber duels or anything like that. Much more gritty, down to earth, just showing you the true, giving you, it's doing that world building too, that a lot of the other spinoffs and things don't bother doing, like the Starkiller base. There's so many questions that just completely go unanswered because they're not even bothering to do any sort of world building whatsoever. They're just like, oh, this space Nazis just magically gain power and enough resources to build this new Death Star. But the Republic didn't do anything about it. For why? I don't know. It doesn't matter.
So fun headcanon about that. If any of you watch Skeleton Crew, you have a planet full of essentially just all the New Republic money, and then you have the First Order where they suddenly have enough money to build a planet-sized destruction Death Star Part 3, I guess. Big Death Star, whatever remake. So what that means is that because the children in Skeleton Crew revealed their planet to the wider world, they are at fault for the First Order. I mean, that's my headcanon for this entire thing to make it that much worse.
That makes sense in a bad way.
Oh man!
Just like how Jar Jar Binks was the real Darth Sidious.
I wanted him to be. I wanted him to be a. It's so bad. Have you guys seen the Lego one?
Not really.
It's a silly little kid thing, but it's the Lego Star Wars, and there's a block that if you take it out, it like recreates the universe, right? And so when the main character does that, it like makes all the good guys bad and the bad guys good and all this other stuff. And so it does have Darth Jar Jar, which is excellent. His lines, it's ridiculous, but it's I should have added it on this list of spin-offs because and said that was like my top.
I like Andor season 2. I thought that was a good example of paying close attention to your source material, you know, and your canon and everything like that. And like Rogue One, it fits with episode 4 very, very nicely without breaking anything. It adds new elements, new characters. I thought it married up really.
I completely agree. I liked the messages of it too, with the fact that it's not just good guys good, bad guys bad. The rebels were doing things that were unethical. You were actually able to side with the two main Empire characters, and at least see where they were coming from, what their motivation was, as opposed to just like, oh, Snoke's a bad guy because he's bad guy, bad. They just want to be in charge. And that's that world building too, which I heard that they didn't put as much world building in episode or the politics and stuff because Lucas got so much grief for episodes 1 through 3 that it was boring because of the politics. So they were just like, nah, we're not even going to address what the politics are that lead up to the events of 7, 8, and 9. So magic hand waving.
Somehow Palpatine returned,
which was a shame, because 7 starts off with the idea that the First Order exists somehow.
Yeah,
like, where'd this come from? And Leia goes to the New Republic and says, "This is a problem," and they were like, "Get out of here!"
yeah.
I kind of want to see that.
Right. All this stuff happens off screen or just doesn't even happen.
Couldn't you send a scout ship somewhere and go, "There's a whole fleet out there. Oh my god."
Yeah. I was just listening prior to getting set up. I was listening to this guy criticizing the 3 movies and it's like, this is how it should have happened. And I'm like, yes, this is how it should have happened. What part? Why did these people get paid so much money to just ruin everything?
So the video that I included, it does exactly that. It breaks down everything that's wrong with it and then fix it. And one of the big fixes, so we were talking about how we need to respect the source material that came before it, and if you're going to do a spin-off, then you shouldn't take a fan favorite character and then just blow them out in an airlock. And with The Last Jedi, that's exactly what they did, where you have Admiral Akbar, who is a trained, proven admiral based on the Return of the Jedi, where even if he makes a mistake, he rallies and he is able to. Yes, there's space magic with the Force and whatnot, but he is still able to rally the fledgling rebellion to mount a defense and maintain themselves long enough for the rebels to eventually survive and destroy the Death Star. And that would have been really interesting to see on surviving against the very slow speed car chase essentially in space that is The Last Jedi. And instead they just throw them on an airlock and have somebody else step in. And first of all, we don't care about this character. We have no emotional tie to her. Except there's one offhand comment where Poe says, like, "Oh, General Holdo from such and such event that we don't know anything." And that's the only qualification that we have for her. There's no emotional tie to her. There's no.
That's purple hair, right? See, I don't even know her name. Yeah, they did.
General. I think she's General Holdo.
Yeah, she's some general that you don't know, and she gets to be the one to do the thing instead of Akbar. Like, why did she even? She only got created to pander to the ladies because we gotta have women in power, even though you have Mothma and Leia, and they're so dumb. I hate them so much.
The actress that played Mon Mothma in 1983 in Return of the Jedi, she's still around. I mean, they could have brought her back. I don't know if they asked her and she said no, but not that she was a general. I mean, she definitely got involved in the leadership of it, but I don't know that she was a tactician necessarily, especially if you watch Andor.
Right.
But she would have been a wonderful inclusion, especially if they were looking for more leadership among, strong women leaders.
Right.
And that could have been interesting too, because then she's not a born military leader. She's a politician, and she's trying to rally the troops to survive. And that could have been an interesting dynamic to play around with.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the unfortunate things that they don't understand is you can have the value and contribute. There's so many roles that a successful rebellion needs that the politician and the person who's making the deals for the resources to feed your army is just as important, if not more important, than the person who's leading the army or who's the ace fighter pilot. Yeah, the ace pilot's going to be more exciting, but if he doesn't have a ship or doesn't have the supplies to fix the ship or the droids or anything like that, he can't do anything. And so having that, making it seem like, oh, there's not enough women in Star Wars because there's only these two people, but those two people are doing the incredibly important thing.
Yeah.
I mean, let's see, what else? Hang on. I sent the conclusions. I feel like we've touched on the don't alienate your fan base. Quality over quantity. Did I say quality over quantity? Because they're very much the let's make as many shows as possible and throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks, instead of saying, okay, this is the story I want to tell. I'm telling it for a reason. So just because you have the characters that maybe the fans would like of something for, doesn't mean you need to do it. If there's no story there, don't do it. Because you're just going to end up pissing off your fans. Would you guys agree with that?
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean,
yeah.
I didn't, like I said before, I didn't completely hate Obi-Wan, but at the same time, I'm like, we don't need it. We know what the story is. He's hanging out on Tatooine. We don't need it.
And what's worse is that they can't do too much with it because they can't have him interacting with Darth Vader for the most part. They can't have him meeting Luke.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess they could have him meeting Leia because that's how she knows him. Although even with like the recording, it's you fought with my father in the Clone Wars, not you saved me from being kidnapped as a child.
Right. It just the tales. What was it? The Tales of the Jedi and Tales of the Empire. Those are like shorts that I think a lot of those kinds, the Obi-Wan story would have done a better job with, and even the Ahsoka and just a bunch of these series would have done better as the I think Tales of the Jedi had like a 2 episodes of like, this is how Count Dooku went to the dark side and stuff like that. To give us those kinds of backstory and flesh out the character backstory without dragging it out into like justifying a big long series. So as far as books are concerned, don't just keep writing just to have a big book. Don't, it's not necessary. I have all sorts of characters in my series that have, it's like, oh, that would be interesting to explore their backstory. Am I going to make a whole novel about it? Probably not. That doesn't make any sense.
That's a good point. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Ben.
No, you go, Jay.
It's like quality over quantity. Right? We got a whole series of Obi-Wan, but we probably only needed like a couple of scenes, like a Star Wars Tales type. Like I feel like we got the significant Obi-Wan series in what was one of the last episodes of Rebels, where he faced Darth Maul again, and he was like, "What are you doing here? Oh, you're protecting someone."
Yeah,
that's your Obi-Wan series. I mean, what else happens to him? He's sitting around in the desert. Nothing. He's just waiting.
Yeah, his I like the tension of that love interest that he had in the Clone Wars, but I think she ends up dying.
Satine.
And yeah, Satine. I wish they would have taken Sabine and had her be more involved in the Mandalorian series, because isn't it Bo-Katan and Sabine? Sabine was established as being like the princess or whatever, and Bo-Katan's rival, and so she just, I don't know. There's just so much mishandling.
Yeah. There was a place for her in that. They could have put her in it, for sure.
Yeah. That would have made more sense than just taking over the Ahsoka show and having it be more about fucking Sabine than Ahsoka. Sorry, Ben. Go ahead.
No, I was going to go back a couple of points. Maybe if you're doing, also if you're doing a side story or a spinoff or whatever, we can look at Solo. And so, what do we know about Han Solo? We know he's a Corellian cadet who was set up to be an officer, left the Empire, meets Chewie in a prison, does the 12 parsec, the Kessel run in 12 parsecs. meets Lando, wins Sabak to get Falcon, and in a single movie, you don't need to throw every single thing that we know about him to give him every single backstory all at one point. Like it could have just been maybe him winning the Falcon, maybe him meeting the Falcon, meeting it for some reason, winning the Falcon, and then that will be it. Like just do one point. Don't throw all of the details that we know about a person in a single story. And also, don't do something so stupid as to give away his name, like the oh, you're here by yourself, so we're just going to call you Han Solo because you don't have a last name. Like that is just insulting to every possible fan.
Yeah, it's like on one hand you are no plot, only fan service, but then you're like also fuck you fans. We're gonna make Lando and make him be in love with robots, because we know that will make you happy. But you shouldn't be mad at us because look, it's his blaster, and look, it's Chewie. Just more pandering. It's just all pandering. Don't pander to your fans. I don't know why you would do that. Like, I get why a big multi-mega corporation would do that. So I'm hoping you, as an author watching this, or a screenwriter watching this, wouldn't do that. But don't.
I don't mind a little bit of fan service. Like they're going to put in some little Easter egg that makes you go, oh, yes. But it's exactly what Ben was saying. When they ram it down your throat and say, didn't you ever wonder where Han Solo got his last name? And we're like, no one wonders that.
Or
no
even with
Skywalker. What?
Even if they have Admiral Akbar and it's just like a cameo of him being there, and he definitely shouldn't say it's a trap. He could just like show up in a scene in the background or something. And you're like, oh wow, that's awesome! Like he's there. I'm so interested in this. And then it moves on to maybe again like Leia, or Mon Mothma. Sorry, has to take over and lead the military in some defensive thing. Like it could have just been a really quick moment instead of blasting him out the airlock, where maybe he needs to do some defensive maneuver, so he has to go away for a little bit, and then it's everyone else trying to lead in his wake. So that way we could get the fan service, we could recognize that he is still an important person. He could have some other mission which requires him to go away, and then we can still have this tension where somebody else has to step up and fulfill the role that he would have needed to handle.
Yeah. That made me think of with Leia and Mothma, like we're so interested in having, they are so interested in having like diversity that they made the Acolyte, which I didn't even watch because I heard about the Force twins and I was like, that retcons Anakin, that pisses me off. Not doing that. But they're so concerned about that. What? You couldn't have, I don't know, a series or little something with Mothma and Leia and women doing politics and strategy and like outsmarting the Empire? No, we just get some, and I get that that's kind of tricky with Leia and Carrie Fisher and things like that. I don't know if she like signed off her. I don't want a CGI deep fake Carrie Fisher anyway. But I feel like that's what they would do, and that's what would ruin it. But
you could even make it like a Bond scenario, 007 scenario, where you have somebody who looks vaguely like her and just say, hey, you're Leia. Congratulations.
Exactly. I didn't like the casting for Han Solo, to be honest, with the Solo. He didn't look like a young person.
He looked like Han Solo. He had the cocky grin, he had the wavy hair. It's fine. He was good looking.
There were some other people I would have picked over him. But also on the topic of Han Solo, how they changed him, they almost unchanged him so much. Where Luke, I mentioned how much they did Luke dirty with the changing him too much and having him go completely against what he stood for fundamentally of like loving and trusting and believing in the good of the world. Where Han Solo, you're telling me 20 years later, this guy is literally like the same, did no character growth whatsoever. His involvement in the
They had to redo episode 4 in episode 7. They had to have the Death Star. They have to, but bigger. They have to have a space pirate.
But like, you can't tell me that 20 years passes and this guy's just the same. He's just, oh, the change is that he's a deadbeat dad now. Like,
they could have gone the other way with it. Like, you know, they could have made him this happy-go-lucky, super optimistic and cheerful guy who got railroaded and became the cynical smuggler that we all know today.
They could have even tied it to Kylo Ren, where he was happily married, happy-go-lucky, whatnot, and then turns into this new Darth Vader version 2.0, and then he's like, well, you know, I failed, and so now I'm just going to go back to being a space pilot. Like, if they actually tied it to that moment, great. But it's just,
or he's like,
he's jaded and
yeah, exactly. He's jaded just like he was before. Or he's like space pirate to try and do something to try and rescue his son or convince his son to join or undermine them because he thinks that if he undermines the thing that his son is doing, that it'll bring him back, or that he's jaded because he blames himself for stuff. I don't even understand why Kylo Ren ended up being as dark as he was, unless his parents really screwed up, because
there's no justification. All it says is Snoke did something.
Yeah.
I have a now 6-year-old, which kind of just turned 6 on Sunday. And I'm like, he was born like 2 days ago. I don't know how this happened. But I always tell him, like, you may make bad choices, but you're a good person. I don't think there's no such thing as bad children. There's good children who make bad choices. You can grow up to be a bad person, but I fundamentally don't believe that like children are born bad. So something had to have happened to Kylo.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
We have the blueprint too. Like, Anakin had to be betrayed by all of his masters, and then essentially have to choose the dark side in order to save his, I guess they were married, wife and unborn children. Like, that is a reason for the dark side. It wasn't handled the best in the movies. It's debatable, but there is a reason.
Right. Yeah. And his mom was brutally brutalized by the Sand People, and so he was mad about that. I would also be mad about that, and probably also murder as a young misunderstood Jedi Padawan.
Sure.
Even my mom was being treated the way she was.
Yeah, that's for Padme, because I just killed a whole bunch of Sand People. That's perfectly fine, I guess. Like, she doesn't really react to it.
Yeah, and also, can I Padme, so you know that your boyfriend / secret husband's mom is a slave, and you are a queen, and you're not gonna take 50,000 credits and go buy her and bring her to Naboo. I don't know.
No Republic credits.
Well played.
Rescue mission?
Yeah.
Like, why does he not go try to rescue his mom until, I don't know. Okay, that's a different. I don't even know. I feel like I was trying to make a point of character development and making it make sense, and not just having your character. If you're taking, I do have some spin-off ideas of for children of some of my characters in my book, and there will be characters from the original series that are going to be there. Are they going to be completely different from how they act and behave in book 1? Probably, because they'll have gone through the events of the series. But are they going to be so drastically different from the reasons why they're going to be different will make sense based off of the character arcs that they've gone through. But no, they're not going to be the exact same person as they were. I'm not the same person I was 6 months ago.
Yeah. So
there's
I've read your first book, and it's all about warrior women, what will become the Amazons. And if your spinoff has, one of those women with like a shattered sword saying, I'll never pick this up again. Maybe she's missing like a lip or something, and she's like, I was this bad thing happened to me. I could understand that, but she's just standing there like, oh, I'll never fight again.
I give up. I'm giving up. Yeah, and even within the series, there's character arcs of, okay, I do plan on having, this character start off this way, she's going to end up this way. And the subplots for these characters are deeply intertwined to the arcs. It's like, okay, how is she going to get there? Okay, what would drive her to change so fundamentally from one to the other? And I think that's what they failed to do with Luke, is that they didn't have any reason for him to be fearful of Kylo Ren and try and murder a
But he
12-year-old.
sensed the dark side in him just once.
Ooh.
Or occasionally when he was training.
Okay. Not, we're not gonna like go down the path of, hey, Kylo, let's talk about it. Is everything fine at home? Do I need to go like have a conversation with my brother-in-law? No, it's just like straight to murder.
Yeah.
To be fair, his dad did it.
I think it was very telling that Mark Hamill really hated that direction for Luke.
Yeah.
I know. It upsets me so much watching interviews of him where he's just like so clearly distressed of like, my character wouldn't do that. He wouldn't do that. And then they're just like, fuck you, Mark.
Yeah. What did he say? He's like, this isn't even Luke.
This is Jake Skywalker.
Yeah. And I feel like I've heard of a show recently that they were like having a character go in a different direction, and the actor was like, no, that doesn't make sense for this. And they're like, oh, you're right. Then we won't. And it's like, that's what, hopefully by the time you're writing a spinoff or the sequel to your book, you're going to know your characters well enough to know whether they're good. You should know that before you even start writing the first one. We just need to know our characters. And I think hopefully that's a problem that authors don't necessarily have as opposed to showrunners, because obviously George Lucas doesn't have this problem because he created all of it. And that's also sad to see, is the interviews with George. And he's just like,
I mean, it's really hard to bad when you're just wiping your...
I don't feel like that. It's the same with George R. R. Martin.
If anybody, hey, anybody out there, if you get $1 billion from me, I will let you. I have the first book like 90%, 80% of the way written. I will happily just let you just destroy my characters. I don't care what.
Yeah.
So you give me $1 billion, at it.
Yep.
Or you could be like the author who shall not be named and have it in your contract that for you to sign it over, they are going to allow you to be deeply involved with screenwriting and casting and things like that.
I do that too for $1 billion.
Yeah. I don't know if they're doing that with the new iteration, but again, that's another rant video.
Yes.
Let's see. What are some other ones that we haven't touched on? I was prepared for us to be really ranting about this, but I feel like our pre-talk got some of the ranting out of the way.
Well, let's talk about let's do this in a more positive direction. So how can we do this well?
Yes. Yeah. So
let's learn from Star Wars' mistakes and just don't do what they did.
Right. Exactly. So, well, all three of us really like Rogue One, and it has good world building. It has good character development for the most part. I think the main female character is kind of annoying. She's just like, hope. I'm going to repeat that line that one person said to me that one time and inspire the whole thing, and everybody's going to follow me because
But it has to lead into a new hope. Like, you have to just...
I know.
We're just a general audience. We're very stupid. We won't get it unless you literally punch us in the face with it.
Leia's on so thick. They had the good character development, I suppose. They really did for Andor. I mean, you have Andor at the beginning of the series, and then by Rogue One, he's come into his full form of being a rebel leader and knowing what to do and having a plan and everything. What were our other lessons? I should have written them down.
If you're going to bring somebody back, do it for the right reasons and don't immediately either one, kill them off, or two, I mean, if you, I would say just don't just don't blank statement, don't kill off a fan for no reason.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Very good reason that's well earned.
Right, right. That makes sense. Yeah, if you're going to have like, hey, it's the dad who was the main character in the series, and now here he is. Here's Han Solo, and he's only here so he can die tragically and make us all dislike Kylo.
When I first watched Star Wars, and saw Obi-Wan die, I was bummed out, of course. But he wasn't a fan favorite of mine yet.
Right.
He wouldn't become a fan favorite of mine until the prequels, and made the death in Episode 4 hit so much harder. And I think what happened with the sequel is they followed that pattern and said, "Oh, the old mentor has to die."
Well, that's
right?
your standard hero's journey.
It is, but the difference was we love Luke Skywalker and Han Solo and Princess Leia. I mean, Carrie Fisher died in real life, but they probably would have killed her off anyway, I'm sure, right? Right. And I think that they were following that pattern and saying, "Oh, well, they got to die." You can't just like hand the baton off to a new group of heroes and fade into the darkness, whatever, the retirement. You got to kill them off, and you got to kill them off one at a time so that we never get that reunion that we always wanted. Let's get everyone back together again. We never got Han and Luke together again. That sucked. I don't know. I think there was such a missed opportunity there that if you're gonna do this passing of the torch, there was a better way to do it.
Yeah, I don't even know why they didn't. Why, of all the fan service, like, why wouldn't you have the big three get back together and be like, "Ha, remember that one time?" And then Leia's just like, "Han, you always tell this story. I've heard this 25 times."
Yeah.
For what's I'm think that might be like behind the scenes things, because I know Harrison Ford really did not like his role as Han Solo, and so he probably had it written in the contract that like, I die in 5 minutes, like I will show up for 2 days of work, and that is all you get me for.
I think he did say that in an interview. He was like, I made them kill me.
Yeah.
He died in a way.
He's been asking for that for a while. And then the poor guy shows up on set and breaks his foot, was it, or leg? I forget.
And they could have killed Han Solo off screen and used that as the incentive, the incident that leads to Kylo Ren falling to the dark side. That would have been better, and it wouldn't have been great because, again, killing off a fan favorite off screen is never ideal, but like, it would have been better.
Yeah, but your dad dying is lots of anger from your dad, especially if you had not a great relationship with him to begin with, and his dad kept picking going off and being a pirate instead of being a good dad. I don't know.
Yeah. The one thing I liked about Kylo as a character was the idea of the opposite of Vader, where we saw Anakin as the Jedi who fell. Now, off screen, Kylo had that same, or Ben Solo had that same thing. He was a Jedi who fell. We didn't see that. What we got though on screen was someone who was struggling with the light side of the Force, because all along we've seen, oh, the dark side is tempting you, and with this, it was the light side was tempting him. And you had Snoke saying, "Beware of that light side; it'll get you." Like it was that kind of thing. So I liked how they kind of turned that on its head. And I feel like that was more of a J.J. Abrams credit than Rian Johnson. But that was one of those nuggets in the sequel trilogies that I was like, okay, that's some good, whatever. There was goodness in that.
Yeah, I feel like it would have been even more compelling if like Kylo and Rey ended up kind of switching with, I got really excited on 9. on episode 9 with the in the trailer it had like Darth Ray, and I was like, ooh, and then it just was. Ooh,
well, they did that solely for the previews. Like that, there was no other reason for that scene to be in there.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm trying to come up with a way to say that eloquently for advice for writing, but I don't have anything.
Yeah.
If you're going to do,
as far as like advertising and things, don't. I think we talked about this. Is don't like mismarket your book. You know, don't say it has these tropes and then it doesn't, or have that one teeny little aspect of it, but make it seem like it's way bigger or more important than it actually is, because you're just going to end up disappointing your readers and kind of pissing them off.
Yeah.
I'm trying. I know that there's been popular books that have had that where they market themselves as. Well, there's been a recent one where it was advertised as like a cozy fantasy Gilmore Girls, and it was had other aspects of it that they just didn't really talk about, and less of the Gilmore Girls aspect. So you go into it thinking like, oh, it's going to be this, and then it's like a bait and switch, and that's a great way to really make readers put down your book and then tell everybody on the internet not to read your book, which is not what we want. We want everybody to read your book. Like,
I had to be careful of that. Like when I wrote the sequel to The Unlife of Lisa Cooper, there's some smooching, right? But I don't want to advertise that as a romance, because it's not a romance. I don't want someone picking it up and thinking, oh, this is going to be a romantic vampire story, and then be like, all she does is stab werewolves all the time, and they only kiss 3 times. And when, like, no, I want you to know that she's stabbing werewolves. That's the market that I'm after.
I accidentally had that problem with a couple of ARC readers. My book's called Maiden of Artemis, and I've had some people that were like, there wasn't enough Artemis rep because they only read the title and they didn't read that it wasn't about Artemis. And that was like, well, I don't know how to help you. You can't read, apparently.
That's not on you. That was not on you. That's the title, and it's often.
It's like, okay. But yeah, I can see where that would be a problem of saying it's got romance, and then it's not the kind of romance people are expecting, or it's the not enough or too much.
And I had some beta readers that you could tell wanted that romance, and they were like, you need to have this need to happen. And I'm like, it's not a romance, though. I don't want to deliver that, because it's not what the story's about. It's about her, kicking ass. It's an action adventure,
Yeah, that at the end of the day, you know the message that you're wanting to send, and that, even though you would want to be true to your fans and not like give them what they want in the aspect of I want more kissing, and it's like, well, it's not a kissing book kind of thing. But
is this a kissing book?
is this a kissing book? Have you guys? I feel like we haven't talked about it because I don't know if any of us has actually seen it. Is the Acolyte? Because I sorted my list, and 19% is the popcorn meter for Acolyte.
I gave up. Star Wars says used up, expired all of the goodwill from me. So I'm watching Andor season 2, but I don't really think I'm definitely not going to go see it in theaters. Any Star Wars movie in theaters. I don't know if I'll sit around and watch another Star Wars series. So they have to earn my respect back.
So other than Andor, when did they lose your respect, Ben? How many years has it been since you have been legitimately excited about and pleased with?
Excited, I haven't been. I mean, I was kind of excited for The Last Jedi, and we just described how that utterly failed expectations. I think the Skeleton Crew was the only one that I can think of recent. Well, obviously, Mandalorian looked interesting because basically, like you said, Wolf and Cub. It was a gunslinger in space, and Star Wars looked interesting. And then you have Skeleton Crew, which was sold as Goonies in space, which it is not, and so it failed those expectations. Yeah, I don't really have. I haven't been excited for a Star Wars since honestly Force Awakens. Really, like I said, and then I watched it and was like, well, this is disappointing because it's just Episode 4 but less. And then I was kind of hoping for Last Jedi to do something, and it didn't. So I have not been going into anything excited for a new Star Wars. It's just like, oh well, I mean, I have nothing else to watch, so I might as well watch this while I eat dinner, or while I'm doing something else, or while I'm working out, or it's Netflix has this common term where it's a secondary screen. So everybody's just going to be on their phone, so they don't have complex plots because they know that people won't be paying attention, and they won't, the entire Netflix thing is the second screen to their scrolling and whatever. And so they plan their shows to be bland and to not confuse people by having things actually happen to them. So if somebody looks away for 5, 10, 15 minutes, they'll know exactly what's happening because nothing has happened.
Is that why all the good shows on Netflix get canceled? No.
Chaos, right?
Chaos.
Oh, it was so good.
So many of them just get canceled because.
I know, it's a shame. I love that show. It's funny you brought up Acolyte and then also Skeleton Crew, because those two shows were opposite effects on me. I walked into Acolyte very hopeful because here they were going back 200 years before the episode 1, and it was technically still High Republic era, and I'm like, ooh, if they start doing High Republic era stuff, this could be maybe a clean slate where we don't have to compare this to that and do, they've got a lot of freedom where they can do stuff as long as the storytelling's good, right? So I walked into it thinking, let's give it a try. It started off, I was enjoying it. And then, long story short, they pulled the rug out from under me, and I felt like, oh, this went horribly. Like, why is one guy just wiping out, what, 8, 9 Jedi at a time? Like, come on, And
what? Who
yeah,
did that?
Yeah.
Spoilers for Acolyte. Tell me everything.
Yeah, I also don't care. Please just go right ahead.
I heard Darth Plagueis comes in and is kind of.
No, that's the Marvel teaser. That doesn't actually happen. Like, that's the very last moment of the series.
Okay. So that's supposed to happen in season 2, but then I'm sure they cancel it. So.
The one guy who's a Sith but not a Sith, because they're not supposed to say Sith because it breaks canon, but they said Sith anyway. He's just one guy, and they send like 7 or 8 Jedi against him at once, and he just goes through them all. And like, when I watched episode 3 with Palpatine, when he's facing 4 Jedi Masters, I'm like, come on, this was worse. This was worse. I mean, he just mowed through them so easily. I'm like, how? It was ridiculous.
Yeah, but you saw him without a shirt on. He's an attractive man. He can do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
Are we talking about Sean Connery with the outfit?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. That's a villain, but but with Skeleton Crew, I walked into it thinking, this is going to be made for kids. I actually thought it was going to be a cartoon when they first announced it, because the way they were billing it, it's like a bunch of kids lost in space and blah. And I'm like, ugh. And then my son was like, no, it's going to be live action. And I'm like, all right, I'll watch it. And I ended up loving it. It wasn't a perfect series. There were a couple of things that were just kind of like a little hokey, but I really liked it. And it was the opposite. I walked into it thinking it was going to be terrible, and I ended up enjoying it. With Acolyte, I
think that's the only type of person that actually liked that show, is somebody with like base level expectations and like, you know what, it's not as bad as I thought it would be.
Yeah, because my expectations were low anyway.
Right.
Yeah, that's how I was with Andor. I was like, well, this is probably going to be terrible. Because at that point, you get disappointed so many times in a row. I'm sure this is how you feel, Ben, is you've been disappointed so many times that you're just like, it's going to be awful. And then you're like, wow, I'm pleasantly surprised that this was mediocre.
Yeah. Andor season 1 was okay. They spent so much time in that prison that I was like, and people were raving about Andor, and I'm like, you need to dial it down. It was okay, but God, they just spent the whole series in a prison. Like there was no Andor doing Andor things.
Also,
Season
because
2
of
is when it delivered, because then we got Andor doing Andor things, and it was so much better than season 1.
Yeah, I'm just going to be a negative Nancy over here or whatever, because I don't know. Andor just didn't really stick with me, because if you look, I mean, it's interesting enough, but if you look at it, it justifies the Empire being evil. Like, you have the group of rebels who intentionally instigate a religious ceremony to then have the Galactic Empire crack down on every single other religion across the galaxy. And they need to do that because otherwise, the Hutts will invade. Like, they need to maintain their power by overreacting. But if they didn't do that, then the entire republic would essentially have fallen apart. It would be chipped away by your trade federations and all these other entities that are vying for power. So yes, the rebellion, is acting out against the empire, but also, like, they created the worst aspects of the empire. And maybe they didn't, like, we know from the books that, like, all these other things were already in place, but Andor doesn't show that. If you're here we go. If you're going to do a spin-off or a sequel or anything like that, and you need to demonstrate something, show it to us. Show the Galactic Empire being this evil entity that needs to be replaced. Don't have it be like, oh, well, the rebels are going to make things intentionally worse, so that way that they'll then inspire other people to rebel. Like,
Did you watch all of season 2?
No, I'm like an episode in.
Oh, okay.
And yes, I know it will justify things, and yes, I can see them wanting to instigate propaganda that will make us hate the spider planet. Like, that's as far as I've gotten thus far. So yes, it will show them being evil, but, like, at the same time, Andor season 1 didn't really do the show and the canon any favors.
Andor season 1 supports your point, and it didn't deliver on that. It showed the efficiency of the Empire.
Mm-hmm.
Like, isn't everything running like clockwork? That's awesome. Season 2 shows the Empire for the fascist regime that it is.
Sure.
And I'm reminded of Leia's comment to Tarkin when she says, the more you tighten your grip, the more star systems will slip through your fingers. And that's what a fascist regime has to do. To keep you under its heel, it has to oppress you and hold you down. And that requires a lot of government and infrastructure. So that government, they used to say, with Mussolini, the trains ran on time in Italy when he was in charge, because you had all that infrastructure, but at the same time, they're doing terrible things. But we don't see those terrible things until episode 2. Sorry, season 2.
I think that's one of the reasons why I like the Andor as much as I do compared to a lot of these other spin-offs. Is it is seated in its fantasy, but it's seated to a certain degree in reality. Like, all of these things that are happening, I have to confess that I didn't actually watch season 1 of Andor. I watched a recap of it, so, because I couldn't get into it.
You're good.
All you're missing is that the rebels are evil.
So, but you said something with the religion and doing that. But so the point is, even if it's efficient, what are you sacrificing for the efficiency of the empire? You're sacrificing your self-expression, your culture, your things like that. And seeing in real world examples of rebel groups that appear to be more terrorist groups because they are, and I don't know if I'm allowed to say that word on YouTube, but oh well, I'm not monetized anyway. I won't put that part in the BST thing. But there's groups that feel strongly about X, Y, or Z that are in places that are controlled by a fascist regime or some kind of other terrible regime that do, the bad things to point out how bad they are, kind of thing. And I think that's one of, so even though it's a fantastical area, it makes you think like, oh, I see similarities, you know, and
Yeah.
I'm not sure what point that is to writing, but it's more than space wizards.
Yeah.
I don't care about, I like, space wizards are cool to a certain degree, but space wizards aren't plot.
Star Wars can be fantastic without Jedi. There's Rogue Squadron is one of the best selling series. It's, I know I keep going back to the books, but like Rogue Squadron is fantastic. There's like Tales of the Hutt. There's all these other Star Wars. There's all these other stories of things that happen in the Star Wars universe that have nothing to do with, like you said, space wizards. It is telling an interesting story, telling characters that grow, paying tribute to Wedge Antilles. Wedge Antilles is a fantastic character who has less than a minute of screen time across the original trilogy, and yet because we see him grow in across these books, he's fantastic whenever he shows up.
Yeah. Yep.
Sorry, I keep muting myself because I think my echo. I don't know. Sorry for how long that took for me to realize that I'm echoing. Sorry, guys. And we didn't really talk anything about the Clone Wars or the Bad Batch, the animated kind of series. We focused mostly on the live action retellings. Do you guys have any strong feelings about those shows and if they've contributed? Honestly, like once I saw Clone Wars, I'm like, okay, this is canon, this is lore. And so then all these live action shows that go against the canon that I accepted of the Clone Wars, like the World Between Worlds, that I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense because of that episode of that one time. And also why Acolyte bugged me so much is because of a similar episode where what is it, the light and the dark gods were like, Anakin, you're space Jesus, and you have the power to control both of my son and my daughter, and like nobody's as powerful as you. And then they just,
I did watch Bad Batch. That is an interesting case because it did start off relatively strong, start off with an interesting premise, and then just fell to the point where like I had to basically just force my wife to watch it with me because we were like, we're pot committed at this point. We have watched the first season. We might as well just keep going. And so every time I would put it on, it'd be like, oh, there's 6 more episodes, you know, and she would just groan because it petered out. And it's worse because you can tell that it was written by a fan because they go to a very specific planet in like the 3rd season or one of the last episodes where it's this famous planet where if you read the stories, if you know what's going on, like it's an incredible Easter egg, but it has no substance to it. And it tries to make metachlorians relevant and it tries to justify how Snoke is a clone of the Emperor who has the Force. And like there's this whole thing of the entire plot of the series is trying to find a clone who can be Force sensitive. And they might have found one in whatever her name is. And
yeah,
thank you. And it's interesting, but it doesn't deliver. Or when it does deliver, it keeps trying to repeat on the same plot beats that hit in the first few episodes or across the first season where it was actually good storytelling.
yeah. I hated Omega as a character.
Omega, thank you. I forgot her name.
Yeah,
no,
she was an example of one of these characters that you put in, and
she's an Ewok.
She's an Ewok. To make her look cool, you have to make the other characters look bad.
Sorry, what I mean by Ewok is she's there to try and bring in younger audiences. Because the Ewoks were originally going to be the Wookiees. They tried to, but they toned them down into these teddy bears so they could get kids to like it and sell merchandise.
Yep. And the whole idea, I mean, she's with like, what was his name? Hunter? I think so. Like Tech and
Rambo.
These guys, right? And this is Batch 99. They were like the best of the best because of their defects made them strong in certain areas. And she's, I mean, I don't know, she's a clone of her own. I guess she's got her skills and whatnot, but you don't need to make them look bad to make her look good. It's just bad writing, and they just constantly did it. And then they were like, let's give her the Force, maybe, or I don't know. Like it was very convoluted. Like she had midichlorians.
I mean, if Sabine has the Force, she can have the Force. Just give her the Force. Screw it.
Yeah, everybody gets the Force.
They'll make some live action spinoff with her later.
Yeah,
and it's gonna be.
But the Clone Wars I loved. It's funny when they did, if you remember, when they basically took what would have been the first 4 episodes of the Clone Wars and served them up as a movie, right? So I saw that in the theater and I liked it, but I was walking away going, how irresponsible are they to give Anakin an apprentice? Obviously, she's gonna die. There's no mention of her in episode 3. And now you can never have Anakin meet General Grievous for the entire season or series or whatever. And I'm like, this is irresponsible. And they're gonna break canon, mark my words. And I was mostly wrong because they found a way to handle Ahsoka, and they didn't have Anakin run into Grievous the entire time.
They did have to jump through some hoops with that last one, though.
They did.
Yeah. I liked how they took Anakin. I love Anakin in the Clone Wars.
Yes.
Like young Anakin in episodes 1 through 3, I was like, you're awful. I don't like you. And then it's like, this is the Anakin that I wish I had this whole time. And no shade on Hayden Christensen. They act the way that they're supposed that they're directed to act.
Yeah.
You know. And then they get directed to act.
But I agree. That was the Anakin that we were promised. And you really got that friendship between Obi-Wan and Anakin that didn't really deliver. We got a little bit in episode 3 where the banter, where they rescue the Palpatine, right? There's a little bit of back and forth. Arthur's doing his best. Come on,
yeah.
Another happy landing. All that kind of banter. They were at each other's throats during episode 2. You didn't get the best friend vibe, but in Clone Wars, you saw how close they were, and that was really good to see.
Have you guys seen there's one video that I found on YouTube that was like, what if episodes 1 through, like, it was rewriting episodes 1 through 3, but from Obi-Wan's point of view, instead of having it being focused on, it actually was really good because then it still kept that reveal of Darth Vader and being surprised and stuff like that. So maybe one of the things is also, if you're doing a sequel or spinoff, be open to the idea of having characters, a point of view character that you're not necessarily, isn't your main character or isn't the one that you would go, like Andor. Of all the lists of characters to pick from to have a show about, he's probably like 100th on the list, but his story is compelling and interesting, and the story is different, told from his point of view, unique, as opposed to, I don't know, Leia and her.
Yeah. I like that idea. Of seeing Obi-Wan's perspective.
I'll have to share it with you guys, because Ben, your expression was, oh, cool. Yeah. I was like, man, I wish it was that one instead. That it was focused on Obi-Wan instead of Anakin. Cool. Well, so I can't remember many points that we've actually come up with. I think there's at least 6, but to recap for the AWC section of it, to ensure that your sequel or spinoff is successful, you want to understand your fan base and not alienate them. You want to focus on your quality of your spinoff as opposed to making as many as possible. Especially focus on your characters and their development and the story, and plan out your story. Know where that's going before you start writing, so you don't have to retcon things later. What am I missing, gentlemen? Am I missing anything?
Don't character assassination.
Yeah, don't assassinate characters just because you can. Have a good reason to do it, or else you're going to, first point, alienate your audience and piss them off. and make sure to stay. Oh yeah, don't retcon things and change. Your original book or your earlier books in your series is the canon, so be true to your own canon. And I think if you follow all of those steps, your sequel or spinoff will be successful. So, cool. Do we want to do outros now?
Sure.
Because I'm so graceful at transitions. Well, thank you, Jamie and Ben, for joining me this afternoon. It's been so much fun talking.
This was awesome. Thanks for having me.
Storytelling with you guys. And before we go, would you like to say goodbye to the audience?
Sure.
Jamie, you first.
Well, thanks for watching, everybody. I had a great time. Thanks to Eloise for having me on her channel. If you want to check out any of my content, I have my own YouTube channel where I talk about fantasy fiction. And if you're into vampire stories, I have a couple for you if you ever want to check out The Unlife of Lisa Cooper or The Vampires of 1863.
And I am Ben Pick. You can find me every Monday night at 6 p.m. Eastern Time on my own YouTube channel, Writing to Write, where I do productivity sprints right now. I used to do questionable writing advice through my running metaphors, but I've since switched because I'm trying to finish off my 4th novel. And you have my series behind me, Into the Void, starting off with Falling Through. And with this sequel, I absolutely respect the material that came before it. Everything in the second and third book builds off of the first book. There is no character assassination. The characters get sent to the ringer, and yeah, they are definitely worse off for the subsequent events. So I guess they are getting more and more jaded as we go on, but you will definitely see those turns as they happen. No surprises.
No surprises. Awesome. We're practicing what we preach here. I love it. Thank you again, gentlemen, for joining me. And if you are interested in checking out and subscribing to either Jamie or Ben's channels, the links to those will be down below, along with links to their books, which I highly recommend you going and grabbing yourself a copy. My name's Eloise. I write historical fantasy books set in ancient Greece. You could also subscribe to me too. That would be cool. But thank you so much for joining and watching. And until next time, take care. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.